Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
Blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Rejoice and be glad, for great is your reward in heaven.
And blessed your life will be.
We want to welcome everyone, everywhere, whatever location you're joining us from, you are so welcome. It's so funny because each week I get a chance to meet different people, and I meet people I've never met before, and they'll say, hey, I was watching that message when I was in my kitchen making some cookies. I was out in the gym, and I heard that message. It's just amazing how the Word of God can go anywhere. And I'm sure right now that personally, this word is going to land in someone's kitchen, maybe in their gym, in their car. And every time there's someone that says, you know what, that's me. I need a word from God right now. I haven't only got a word for you, I got a word with a blessing. Because we're in this series called The Blessed Life. And when we look at God's word, there is a blessing attached. So I want to say, just relax and enjoy the blessing of God, because I'm going to take you and I'm going to dish out some gold. It's going to be it's not because of me, but because of God's word. And God's word, there is richness. And I believe that every one of you, if you set your mind to it, are going to go out richer than when you arrived at the beginning. There is something powerful and profound about this word I'm going to share with you. And I want you all to come and get yourself ready. Okay? So come on, let's get ready. And I'm going to start, it's going to be Matthew 5. This is the third one that we're going to do. And it's going to be one that is real precious to me. Here we go. Matthew 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I'm going to talk about being peacemakers. Does our world need peacemakers right now? That's why I just love that God's word is so relevant to us. Doesn't, every location I'm speaking into, every home I'm speaking into, I'm sure that one of the things that I hope is at the top of your list is to live in peace. We all want to receive peace, and often we can talk about receiving peace. I just want to know peace. But actually, God goes further here, and there is something that Jesus is saying. Blessed are those that don't just have peace, but they actually distribute peace. They actually are purveyors of peace. They actually give peace. They apply peace to the situation. And Jesus is saying something really amazing here. He's saying, do you know what? You're going to be called children of God. That you don't just keep peace for yourself, because this is the whole message of Jesus. This isn't just for you, but when it happens in you, it happens through you. And so I've come with a message of peace today. I've come with a message of peace that says when we understand peace and it works in our life, we can become peacemakers. But one of the things that I've noticed that is a bit unfortunate, that happens often, is you might have a great idea about peace, but not everyone has got the same idea as you. In fact, you can go through life, and I can talk about peace with you today. Blessed are the peacemakers. It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But when you go out to work this week, or you go out, to your sort of, family situation, it doesn't take long before someone wants to rob your peace. Sorry, guys, there is going to be someone that wants to mess it up. So I want to walk in peace. We all want peace. It's good because you just get that feeling of peace. It's like something powerful. You can't buy it. It's like peace. To be at peace, you can own the world, but if you haven't got peace, it's rubbish. There is something about trying to obtain things, but peace is something sometimes that you just think, wow, it is free, but you've got to pursue it. And so peace will be robbed if you're not careful. When we were pastoring, when we were in our early years pastoring, Heather and I, we did the kids' work, we did all the counselling, we did the mums and toddlers, the youth group. So when it came to Sundays, it was like a full-on all the year round. So this one particular Sunday, we decided to have a break. And we went to another church, and it was actually my dad's church, and we went to my dad's church for a break. We arranged everything. We thought this Sunday we're going to have a Sunday off. I think it was in the summer. We thought it would be a great time. Have just this weekend off. We went to my dad's church. We arrived. It was like, oh, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to preach. Don't have to answer people's questions. We can just be here. And we were there with our two little boys, and we were there just enjoying our church event. When something strange happened in this event. We were just there for a peaceful day. But there was a funny smell in the church. And this smell wasn't pleasant. This smelled like something had died. And it was in the church, and people were like going, "Is that? Can you smell something? Can you?" And there were these questions going around, and it was like, "What is the smell?" Now at the end, we went right through the service, and at the end, suddenly we realized what it was. At this particular time, as well as building church, I had to run a business. I had a pet shop. I was a pet shop boy. And I'll tell you what, I had this pet shop with reptiles, snakes, spiders, reptiles, everything. And that's what I did in the week, and I was pastoring at the weekend, and it was an amazing busy time, but just trying to pay the bills and the rest of it. And with it, this smell, I'd smelled before. Do you know what it was? It was a dead snake. Now we're in the UK here, you don't get many dead snakes in church. But I had a particular customer that was quite a difficult customer, and this young lady who doesn't go to church decided or somehow found out I would be at church this morning, and she had bought a snake from me a few months before, and this snake had died, and she was mad. So she decided to bring the snake to church, and once she started waving it around, people were going, I tell you, a dead snake smells awful. I mean, it had to be contained. There was the whole morning got taken over with the dead snake, the smell. It was in there for a week. And she was unhappy because somehow she gave it something that killed it, but somehow she felt I was responsible. And she went to war with me. Guys, all of us, things can happen very unexpectedly. Things like this have happened to me all the time. It's like, hey, just going to take the morning off. It's like, yeah, free morning. Kids, we just sit here and relax. What is that smell of death? Snake being swung around. It's like, my snake is dead. It is incredible how your peace can get disturbed when you least expect it. You can be going through life committed to peace, and someone can come and arrive at your door who wants to disturb your peace. You don't have to go far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a story in the Bible, because best way is actually looking at some scripture and seeing how in the Bible we see this story, and this is a fantastic story, and it's a story of this guy called Nabal, not Naval, Nabal. Nabal and his wife Abigail. And King David's involved with it. Now, Nabal, if I just tell you very quickly about him, Nabal, it says he's a very rich man. He's not apparently he's got like 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. I mean, that's like a lot of animals. And that means he's very rich. And it says, that he is he's got the best tent. He's got the best camels. He's talk about, you don't need to worry about cars in these days. It's like, I got the best camel, fastest camel you could get. He's bought it. And so here he is. He's got this beautiful wife called Abigail. And he's there with all his wealth. And then David is in the wilderness. He's I'll just catch you up, but he's out in the wilderness. He's running from King Saul. He's out sort of in the mountains hiding, waiting for the moment he's going to be made king. But he's there with a few hundred men, and he's just out there in the mountains. And his path comes across Nabal, right? So I've set the scene. You ready? So we're going to pick up 1 Samuel. You'll find it in 1 Samuel 25, verse 4 to 6. It says, while David was in the wilderness, here he was, minding his own business, having a morning off, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. He knew of Nabal. So he sent 10 young men and said to them, go up to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. So that's nice. Go and send a greeting. Go and say, hi, Nabal. We're David's young men. Yeah, that's really polite, isn't it? Say to him, long life to you. This is the best thing you can say to someone. David has got no sort of harm or intention. He's actually speaking a blessing over you. So you can speak a blessing over someone, and sometimes it always doesn't go to plan. Good health to you and your household, and good health to all that is yours. I'm just speaking the blessing. This is the blessing from David that comes. You can have great intentions with some people in life. It can still result in going to war. Some things happened to some of you that you never anticipated, and you got hijacked. Things went wrong. Maybe you became a victim of something. It is amazing how you never went about wanting to be involved in a battle, but you somehow got involved in conflict. David had no intention of getting involved in a battle, but it actually says here, the story moves on, and you just see what happens next. Verses 10 to 11. They went off to Nabal with this message, and this is his response. Nabal, the rich guy, answered David's servants, and he says, who is David? Now he knows who David is. But he's basically saying, who's David to me? I'm this rich, important guy. Who is David? He's riding around on his horse with a few hundred men, and, he lives out, in the desert. Who is the son of Jesse? Oh, he knows who David is then. There are many servants these days who are breaking away from their masters. So he's basically calling David, who's the anointed king of Israel, a servant. See the insults that are firing here? It just says something about his heart. Shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have killed for my shearers and give it to men who come from I do not know even where they come from? There are people without a place. It is amazing how our words can cause trouble. Careless attitude and careless words can cause trouble. And I want all of us to realize that careless attitudes create trouble. You think about it. If you're not, it doesn't take a lot to say the wrong thing. Anyone who's been married is married. You're still married, hopefully. But it doesn't take a lot to just be careless in your words, and it can cause a lot of trouble. I think careless words are like spaghetti. You never get to the bottom of it. You didn't really know where it all started. It can cause chaos. And you've got Nabal here he's really got everything. He's very sort of proud of himself. And he's in this place where he uses careless words to the future king who's going to be made king. And he's saying, hey, where did you come from? I don't even know who you are. He belittled him and dishonored him. Through careless words, a terrible situation was about to happen. Guys, maybe you've caused, because I know that I've used careless words. And afterwards, I've had to go back and say, I didn't mean the way it came out. Some of us intend to say careless words to cause damage. And the Bible says, do you know what? Your words, they're either life or death. You've got to be so wise about the words that we choose to use. We're responsible for them. And you see, David went down because there was this connection, because the sheep they'd been out in the wilderness. So all his thousands of sheep, and they'd been out in the wilderness. Who'd been looking after his wealth and riches? It was David and his men. If you look in the scripture, David has spent time being a peacemaker, where he didn't really know Nabal, but he made sure that no one stole. It says it in the Bible. No one stole Nabal's flock. He believed in justice. He believed in peace. He believed, hey, you want to come and rob this? I'm going to stand up. I don't know the guy, but I'm going to stand up for him. That's why he went to greet him. And Nabal knew this, but he didn't value it. That's why this makes it really sad. That's why there's a reaction. I'm going to take you right through the story, right? So you've got to pick up things as we go. Verse 12 to 17. So David's men, as you can imagine, turned around and thought, we're going back to David. When they arrived, they reported every word. What David said to his men. Each of you strap on your sword. See, careless words, careless attitude create a war. Strap on your sword. So they did, and David strapped his on as well. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. So 400 guys who were upset about the situation. I mean, just by a few words, you have got a conflict situation happening. It is just amazing that this comes from a few words, a bad attitude. One of the servants then went and told Abigail, the wife. Do you remember? Now, Abigail's the star of the story. She's like this superhero in this story. So you've got to watch her. Nabal's wife. David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. They're honest, they're honorable, they've been there, they have helped us. Night and day, they were a wall around us. The whole time we were herding our sheep near them. It's amazing how a peacemaker takes responsibility for more than just themselves. Now think it over and see what you can do, Abigail, because disaster is hanging over us. We got 400 soldiers on the way here with their swords to basically sort things out. This is a bad situation. Disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. Notice the last few words there. He's such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. Now this is his wife. It's like, she knows him pretty well. Nabal is not known for being teachable. He's in fact an unteachable man. He's created wealth and he's very successful, but probably at the expense of a lot of people around him. He's unteachable, he's unaccountable, and he's unapproachable. And guys, those things, when we get those things in our life, when someone says, I just can't talk to you because you think you know best, we got to watch out for that, because straight away there is room for conflict to probably follow you in your life. So someone who is unaccountable means I'll say what I want to say and no one's going to pick me up on it. It means I can behave how I want to behave and no one has the right to challenge me. And there is something that Jesus speaks to us, that we have got to be ready to be teachable. And so this is the situation. No one can talk to him. This is his response. This is what is happening. Here comes the superhero, right? This one verse, verse 18. Abigail, so Super Abigail, the wife of the guy who just seems like an arrogant so-and-so. Here she is. She acts quickly. I just love this. Abigail is the superhero peacemaker. So she'd have a big P on her outfit. She's like, Peacemaker Abigail. She jumps into action. She took 200 loaves of bread. This is so fascinating. It's like, you've got a war about to happen. Like 400 guys with swords. They're ready to go to battle over the honor of David. And you've got Abigail who acts quickly. What does she do? Quick, we need to, sort out the fortification. Let's get our swords. Let's get the soldiers. She gets food. I just love this. She took 200 loaves of bread. See, half a loaf each. It's 400. 2 skins of wine. 5 dressed sheep. Dressed sheep? That's a funny thing. Didn't know you dress sheep. Anyway, 5 seahs of roasted grain. 100 cakes of raisins and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on donkeys. I'll just tell you this just very quick. The odd thing that stands out, 2 skins of wine, doesn't sound a lot to go around 400. Does it? It's because this wasn't for drinking in excess. Do you know what they used wine for in this day? They would add it to water to purify water. The 2 skins were enough to purify enough water for the whole army. It was like a bit medicinal. So she was actually taking care and thinking, I'm not just going to give them some food. I'm going to show them that I care about your health and your well-being. See, this was a statement. She got together all this stuff, loaded them on the donkeys. Here is the peacemaker. And I just love the way that she enters this whole story with a strategy of food. Peacemakers take action. Some of us would think, well, I don't really go around looking for conflict. Yeah, but do you go around looking to make peace? because being a peacemaker is something of action. It's not just, oh, I'll see how they treat me. I'll wait for an apology. A peacemaker goes even out to find peace and make peace. And I'm not talking, it's very different from being a peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is just someone that keeps the peace, and it's like there's really a battle going on underneath, but let's just smooth over the top. A peacemaker makes peace. It's something of action. It's something of doing. And this is what she was doing. She realized, I can have a choice to do something right now. A few years ago, Heather was running. She goes out running and does her keep fit. She was running down, it was past our old house, and she was running down the house, by the house on the pavement. And as she was going down, she heard this shouting from this man saying, "Help me, someone. My son is trying to stab me." This doesn't always happen every day, does it? It's like, so Heather, she couldn't see what was happening because there were some big trees, but she heard it behind in this house. She saw the drive. And as any sort of, person would, phone the police. Because something was happening. There was a battle going on. What does Heather do? Runs up the path to the house. While this young man comes down with an 8-inch knife in his hand. And he said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm coming to help." And he said, "It's none of your business." And she said, "Yes, it is, because I heard someone asking for help." And so off she goes, and the father is there. Thankfully, he's not stabbed. And they sort it out. But I just think it's amazing. Perhaps I might have run on by. Perhaps I might have called the police. Heather hears two men arguing, someone saying, I'm going to be stabbed. So she decides to run up to the front door to say, "I'm here." Now, Heather, she is pretty good at her, what is it? Combat. She does combat. She's pretty good. I mean, she can kick those legs high. Don't underestimate her, people. She's like, again, P on her chest. Here I am, peacemaker. Someone's about to be stabbed. Here I am. I think there's just something really powerful and profound about taking action, guys. Taking action. Abigail has got this idea, I'm going to do something in the situation. See, many of us want to avoid it. Many of us, when we see sometimes things going on, we'd rather avoid it than try and create peace, because peace does cost us. To be a peacemaker, it can cost us. It can cost us our pride. Cost us our reputation, maybe. There's so many things that we want to avoid, but we will come across these things. So I'm going to share in this next part that we have now, I'm going to just share a few points out of this story. We're still going to go through the story because it's not over. Here she is. You're excited, aren't you? It's really exciting, this story. I'll tell you, it just gets better. So the first thing, 1 Samuel 25, verse 23 to 25. When Abigail saw David, so there she is with all her pressed figs, wine, dressed up sheep, everything. Can you imagine? She turns up. When she sees David, she quickly got off her donkey, bowed down before him. See, she's replacing honor with dishonor. She said, "My husband might be like that, but I'm here, and I'm approaching you." Face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my Lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Just give me a chance to speak, because I know with my big P on my chest, I'm here to make peace." Now, David didn't know this, but she's got in her head, it doesn't have to be this way. The situation you're in doesn't have to be this way. The stuff you got entangled with right now doesn't have to be this way. I'm telling you, someone's going to get free from this message. Someone's going to get entangled. Where you were entangled, God's going to free you through this message. You got to press in right now, because here she is. She said, "Pardon me, the approach." The peacemaker knows about approach. And she comes in and she says, "Please pay no attention, my Lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name actually means fool." That's why no one is called Nabal. Well, I hope you're not anyway. Change your name. "And folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the men, my Lord, that you sent." Basically, I was not there when this happened. You got to realize, pardon. See, she's asking. She's a peacemaker. I mean, she's really risky. David's pretty mad. He's there with all. Can you imagine being one woman in the middle of the wilderness, and you've got 401 men coming on their horses, strapped, ready for battle. And you're saying, pardon me, excuse me, running up to the front door saying, I'm here. She runs right up to David's front door and she says, it doesn't have to be this way. The first thing I want to leave with you, this point, choose your battles. Just because a battle arrives in your life doesn't mean to say you need to fight it. Just because someone has conflict and an issue with a snake, you don't have to fight that person. You don't have to fight the issue that someone brings, all of the issues, because sometimes we are so reactive. And we sort of, we're walking along with our peace, but then suddenly something happens and we get thrown into conflict because we didn't think. We just thought, someone wants to fight me, I'm going to fight them back. When someone says something to you, you're pretty quick with your mouth, and maybe you quickly say the stuff back to them, because what do? We just love that whole game of tennis. My serve, oh, it's your go. And what we do is we deliver backwards and forwards. Peacemakers don't do that. You can choose your battle. What she was saying to David was, you don't need to fight this battle. In fact, you've got to think carefully about fighting this battle. You're already on the way, and maybe your mind is set, but as a peacemaker, I've come here to say there's another way. So I want to say many of us end up in battles and conflict that we don't even need to fight in. I learned years ago, I didn't have to just fight whatever battle came to my door. There were things I just said, I'm going to choose not to even get involved there. See, if you fight with pigs, you're going to get dirty. You don't need to fight with pigs. They want to wrap you up in all the muck. You can actually choose not to fight every battle. Now, I want to say at this point, before anyone ends up coming and speaking to me, there are some battles we need to fight. There are some battles maybe of injustice, maybe of things that we see in our world of human trafficking, etc. There are things that we, even as the church, we need to get up and we need to fight for what righteousness is, okay? We need to fight. So I'm not just saying, hey, a peacemaker is you just roll over. No, I'm saying you need to choose the battles that you fight. Because every time you fight a battle, you get pulled into the pigsty. You get pulled into the place. And when you're in there, you can't be what you were really called for. Many of us got wrapped up in stuff and entangled in stuff when there's something greater waiting for us. You can choose your battle. So I just want you to think for a moment right now. If you have a battle within your family, within, work, within friendships, we don't have to go far, and I'm speaking to people all over the place who you can think of some conflict. People want to say certain things to you, and it's to get you to react, and then you're embroiled. She said this, he said that, and then you go and share it with other people as well. And it keeps the thing alive. You can choose what battles you partake of. Jesus is talking about such wisdom here. Choose. So don't let your life be hijacked by Nabal. Can you remember that? Too often you have allowed your life to be hijacked by someone with a bad attitude. Was he wrong? Yes. Was David right? Yes. Did he have to go to war with him? No. Don't assume that you can change Nabal. I'm going to prove he's wrong. I'm going to prove my husband that he's wrong. I used to think when we first got married, the idea of an argument was to win. Then I realized that you all lose. You always know someone by their fruit. And if you were to look at the fruit of Nabal, you would realize that what you're dealing with is something that he's lived a life of conflict. And David was getting dragged into battle that he would pay a high price for. So let's look at the next one, number 2. Verse 28. This is what she says. So she doesn't just stop there. She goes further. Please forgive your servant's presumption, The Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my Lord. She's talking to David. Because you fight the Lord's battles and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live. She's saying if you go to war with him and you go and do this stuff, somehow it's going to impact your future. But if you forgive, the Lord your God will take care of you. Do you see this? This is fantastic advice. Here she is. So point 2, walk daily in forgiveness. A peacemaker will walk daily in forgiveness. See, I can talk about we all want peace, but I think there's a cost to peace, and that's forgiveness. Because it can cost you to let something go. When someone what does the Bible say? When someone repeatedly offends you, it says keep forgiving. Even those who persecute you, it says you're to actually forgive and bless them. So Jesus is saying, peacemakers, the big P on your shirt. There's something about action, taking action, and the action is forgiveness. And this is the crunch. Today, some people are going to be challenged to forgive some people. Because you got involved in things that were said. And do you know what? You were actually maybe in the wrong, and you were the victim, and you can go through all the reasons why. But God is saying you don't need to fight that battle. And he said, do you know what you need? You need to walk in forgiveness. Walk in forgiveness. Because when you walk in forgiveness, there is something that pours out of your life. See, these are the living streams that Jesus is talking about. These streams that come out. This sort of spring that comes out. It comes out and it brings life to where I go. So when I arrive into the situation with a snake-wielding woman, I've got to think, am I going to get involved in this battle? Am I going to get involved in going away in anger? Am I going to feed the fire of offense? Or am I going to pour the water of peace over the wall? And this is what she was doing. She was saying, look, this is the number one quality of a peacemaker. She knew it. See, mercy is a greater gift than correction. Anyone can correct. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove that I'm right. Mercy is a greater gift than proving that you're right. Blessed are the meek. See, it's all linking together. Hunger and thirst for righteousness, linking together. So let's just look at the third one. Even though someone is pursuing you, this is verse 29, even though someone is pursuing you, David, to take your life, the life of my Lord will be bound securely. She's talking about King Saul. She knew about it. The life of my Lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. He's going to take care of you. But the lives of your enemies he will hurl away as from the pocket of a sling. So he's saying, you keep your heart right. And this is the message, people. You keep your heart right. God will take care of your enemies. You keep your heart in order. God will deal with injustice in your life. You keep your heart good. Some things you need to pursue. Some things you need to go through when you've got to stand up for justice. But he's saying, do you know what? Keep your heart right. And this third area is trust God with your battle. That's what she was saying. She said, you can deal with this, or God knows your heart. You need to trust God. And trust God, that's when you come to a place of saying, actually, this isn't my battle anymore. I don't even want it. Who's better at fighting battles? God, the creator of the universe, or little me in the situations that's going to say the right thing? And we get bought into this lie that somehow if I say the right thing, I'm going to feel better after. No, you don't. You feel rubbish. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. So what happens right now? She's saying trust God with this battle. And we know at the end that David does. Do you know in 24 hours, Nabal has a heart attack? He's basically in a coma. 10 days later, he's dead. He had no contact with David. Number 4. This is the last one. Ready? So verse 30 to 31. This is what she also says. When the Lord has fulfilled For my Lord, every good thing he promised. See, there's promise to do with keeping your heart right. You receive a promise. You live a blessed life when you keep your heart, when you live as a peacemaker. The thing he promised concerning him, and has appointed him ruler over Israel, my Lord will not have on his conscience. See, she's worried about his welfare and about his heart. The staggering burden of needless bloodshed, or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my Lord's success, remember your servant. That's me. I'm Abigail. Here's my phone number. She is. Remember me, David. Remember me. It's the last one. Peacemakers live without regret. She was saying, you carry this through, you're going to live in regret of the needless bloodshed, but you don't need to fight in this battle. What she's saying, guys, what she's saying is the destiny over you is bigger than this battle. I'm speaking to some people right now. The destiny over your life is bigger than the battle that you've found yourself in. The plan and purpose that God has for your life is bigger than that argument, the conflict, the fact that you're hurt and you're not speaking to so-and-so and you haven't seen them for a long time and you're just in this place where you've said, right, I'm just going to live in conflict. Do you know what? It feeds a fire of offense and hurt that you carry around. And God wants you to be free. God wants you to be free of anger, right? Because what it does is it produces anger. It produces issues with other people that we don't trust them. God, see, David, he realized, look, I don't want to live in regret. I'm going to become the king of Israel. And I don't want to live and start off in regret by reacting. I want to listen to the peacemaker in my life because I want to preserve my destiny. And what was happening was she was saying, look, David, you can get involved in this right now and there'll be regret. But you were born for greater things than this. And I know I'm speaking to so many people right now who you just got involved in some relationship issues. Maybe some things where you were a victim, things happened where there was hurt and damage. God is saying, you need to be a peacemaker. And sometimes you can forgive someone, but then you've got to move on. Sometimes you're not going to be the best friends. But I'm saying, be a peacemaker. He wasn't looking at being best friends with Nabal. He was looking at taking action to avoid conflict and regret. And so God says, will you be a peacemaker? Because there's blessing in being a peacemaker. Verse 35, we haven't got it on here, but verse 35, basically, David says, I'm going to listen to you, peacemaker Abigail, you that turned up in my life. And it says, he put away his sword, he turned around his army, and he marched into the purpose that God had for him. He marched into the future. He had this choice. Do I pursue? Because I'm a man. I've got a woman telling me and my 400 men, I've got a woman telling me and giving me advice. Am I ready to listen? Am I ready to respond? And God is saying, are you ready to respond? Are you ready to turn around from here and move towards what God has for you? Because the enemy always wants to bring a conflict. They did it with Jesus. He chose his battles. Because he said, I'm not going to get tied up in this argument around religion because the mission over my life is greater than getting embroiled in stuff that doesn't really matter. The calling and the purpose over me is to go to the cross. And in going to the cross, I'm going to pay the greatest price. I'm going to be the ultimate peacemaker. And that's why it says he's the Prince of Peace in Scripture. That's why I'm here to say you don't have to do it by yourself. He is the Prince of Peace. He's here, and he's one that comes and says, you know what? The whole of the gospel is all about peace. Because it says man was at war with God. But Jesus came as the peacemaker. And with the cross, he bridged the gap. He was the missing piece that created peace for you. Woo. And he's here today. He's here, every location. He's here. He's here in your situation. Oh, whatever the conflict is, do you know what? He wants peace for you. But you need to make some decisions based. This is an attitude. And with this attitude, you receive blessing. You walk a life of blessing. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Because being a peacemaker is the very DNA of God himself. It's who he is. So his children peacemakers. And he wants to bring peace into your situation right now. See, peace is like an axe at the root of conflict. It cuts the root of conflict. And he brings peace into your life right now through love, through forgiveness, through saying, God, you called me for greater things. I'm going to hand over to our locations right now. Pray that God will bless this word to you and you take hold of this and you live it in your life. This is life. This is blessing, but you need to respond to it and follow God's word. Amen.